I'm the OCF. That's right, the outlaw of college football, JPC. And this Caleb Williams situation, along with his wide receiver Mario Williams, screams of tampering. Now, I know there's some goofballs out there that say, oh, they should just get paid and that's the bottom line, and y'all should just shut up about it. No. This screams of tampering, and we need to address this and get some regulations. And now we're going to talk about it with the home of the Common Joe and Common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. Those NIL deals, boy, I tell you what, we're seeing a lot of blowback from this NIL stuff. And there's a lot of people out there that I get a little aggravated with because they only see one side of the story. All they see is, hey, those players deserve to be paid. Those universities are making millions of dollars. Yeah, but they are giving them a free education. I know y'all don't like to hear that. They're giving them the opportunity to be there to make it to the NFL. And this Caleb Williams situation is a clear indication to me of how he is basically holding Oklahoma hostage. Now, Oklahoma did go out and get them another quarterback, but he said they're still in the mix. And all I can figure out is that the reason why he's keeping Oklahoma on the hook is because maybe he thinks they could give him some kind of better NIL opportunity. Now, Caleb Williams' father said in a tweet, I saw this on Pete Thamel with Yahoo Sports, Caleb Williams' father, Carl Williams, has said that he wants his son to go to a university where a coach is quarterback friendly. So, of course, the first person that pops to mind would be Lincoln Riley, since he's considered a quarterback whispering type coach. But it hasn't been struck up. You think that if something like that was going to happen, you would think that Caleb Williams would have immediately left and went with Lincoln Riley, or already have came out and said that he was going there. So obviously, there's other people in the mix here. Now, another problem I'm having with this whole Oklahoma situation is something I touched on a while back. And all the Oklahoma fans out there and my friends that are Oklahoma fans, I love them to death. They assured me that this wasn't going to happen, but I can still see it in the background. I understand that it's okay for old retired coaches and retired players and whatnot to come back around the organization and howdy, how you doing kind of stuff. But it's not okay for them to get on Twitter and to speak for your university like they are still employed or they are the coach of the university. Bob Stoops made a tweet talking about if Caleb Williams decides to keep us in the mix, then we're going to put our best foot forward, yada, yada, yada. I can't wait to try to get him to play for us, or I can't wait until he comes back and talks to us. Us. Sounds like Bob Stoops is the head coach still, and he's making little tweets about it. I mean, would you think that if Nick Saban was retired from coaching that he would be making tweets about how he was going to try to get certain players back to Alabama? I don't think so. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think so. And that's another problem that I have with this whole situation. I knew that Bob coaching the bowl game, while it was admirable in some eyes, to me, it sort of also sounded a little bit like Bob wanted to be back in the spotlight, even if just for a short time. Which there's nothing wrong with that. But my biggest fear is that Bob Stoops is going to have his hands too much in the program. And this needs to be Brent Venable's show. He needs to have this be his show and his show only. Sure, he can take advice from Bob Stoops. But to be tweeting and to act like that you're involved in all this, I just don't like the feel of it, man. And I could be totally wrong, man. I just hope this ain't another Phil Foreman situation like at Tennessee. Because you see what happened in Tennessee. First they were okay, they were all right, and now the bottom just fell out, and now they're starting to finally recover a little bit since they parted ways for Phil Fulmer. Hopefully, he's not still in the background, dabbling around and taking knives and sticking them in people's backs like he's doing the last 15 years. But especially for Josh Heupel's case. But I don't mean to keep harping on that, but I really think that you guys need to tell Bob, look, Bob, we really appreciate what you did at the bowl game, but you need to lay off going online and tweeting about this situation like you're the head coach, because you're not. You're not the head coach anymore, Bob. We already got Brent Venables here. Let's make this about Brent. If Brent wants to tweet something out about this situation, let Brent do it. Don't do it for him, Bob. That's all I'm going to say about Bob. But as far as Caleb Williams goes, I'm also hearing that he might entertain the idea of possibly Ole Miss. Now, there was a case where he followed Tank Bigsby, the Auburn running back, and now everybody's up in arms about that, and they think that maybe, just maybe, he wants to hook up with Tank Bigsby to have a good quarterback-running back combination at Auburn. I just don't see that, because Brian Harsin, while he's a good coach, I don't think he's the quarterback guru or the offensive staff that Caleb Williams is really seeking. Now, there is a possibility that he may go to Clemson. Now, I know Dabo Swinney's not really a big quarterback guru either, but they've had a lot of success in the ACC, and it might be an easier route for Caleb Williams to rack up the yardage and pull up his stats a little bit, sort of like Trevor Lawrence did and Deshaun Watson did when they were there. So it might be a slight possibility. I've been hearing that Clemson may be in the mix. And there's other universities out there as well. LSU's been mentioned. Like I said, Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. I mean, Lane Kiffin would probably do really well with Caleb Williams. Now, there also was mention of Georgia, because JT Daniels may just go ahead and bypass his final year at Georgia as well and go straight in the NFL. Now, whether that happens or not, I don't know, but I doubt that's a long shot as well. Now, there's one other university that may be in the mix, and that's the University of North Carolina with Mack Brown, and that's because their great quarterback Sam, his last name escapes me for now, but their great quarterback, I think he graduated this year, or he's going into the NFL this year. So North Carolina could also be an opportunity for him. There again, in the ACC, where the defenses are not as tough, and he can hone his skills and rack up the yardage and yada, yada, yada. But the main thing that concerns me about all this is the way these players are now going in the transfer portal and holding these universities hostage and saying, hey, so-and-so going to give me this and so-and-so going to give me that. I know all the guys out there screaming, all the ones that support these players getting all this money, who are too immature to handle all this money, by the way. All of you in support of these players getting paid, y'all just see it as black and white. But it's not black and white. There's gray, a lot of gray here. And that is, even in the NFL, there's regulations. There's rules against tampering with other teams. And that's the problem and the issue I have right now. There's going to have to be some kind of regulations put in. Whether these players like it or not, and whether they're supporters out there that support them getting paid, like it or not, there's going to have to be some regulation. So there's not so much corruption and these players getting used and these players being basically conned into going to universities for deals and stuff that people are getting kickbacks on. It's another concern is all these people getting kickbacks off of these kids. If a certain assistant coach gets a certain kid to go to university, well, then who knows what the local Chrysler dealership will do for that said coach if he does that. And there's all sorts of ways to corrupt this whole thing. And there's going to have to be some regulations put in place. These people that think that these kids should just make money and that should just be it, and that's the bottom line because they made these universities millions of dollars when Let's not, like I said, let's not forget the fact these universities didn't have to give them a scholarship to come here. They didn't have to let them have that opportunity to get to the NFL and make millions of dollars. But that's always forgotten. Nobody really cares about that anymore. So I'm not naive in thinking that anybody really gives a shit whether they get an education or not, because they really don't. They can say what they want to, but they don't. But there's got to be some regulation. I just don't know how you can regulate it just yet, because I'm not that smart guy that knows how to do all that. But in the NFL, they know how to regulate it. They know how to keep teams from tampering with other teams. So maybe the NCAA and these universities need to get together and get with the NFL and say, hey, look, we know this, the Pandora's box has been opened. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. So tell us how we need to handle this money and how we can keep teams from tampering with each other. Just sit down with the NFL, because you might as well go in ahead and admit it, that you are now the minor league of the NFL. Just go ahead and own that shit, because it's been happening for 30 or 40 years now, even longer now, probably 50, 60, 70 years this shit's been going on. So let's just own it, and let's get with the NFL. Let's get some regulation in this, because right now it's just too wild. It's just too wild, and there's too much tampering going on. And with that, I'm going to get off of here. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And as always, KMCA to all the other teams.